Hello, everyone. My name is Artyom. I'm the CEO and founder of Signum AI, and today I'm trying to record my second podcast with amazing guests like Scott. And Scott is the founder of Scott Leese Consulting and Surf and Sales, with incredible background in sales. And before we start, Scott, could you please tell us a bit more about yourself, about your experience?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, by the way. I appreciate it. My name's Scott Leese. I've been building and scaling sales teams for the better part of 20 years now. I was a head of sales, VP of sales, whatever you want to call it, 6 times. I would consider 5 of those to be really nice, big successes. I've written a couple books on sales and sales leadership. I started a business 7 years ago called Surf and Sales. It's a small sales and leadership conference down in Costa Rica. And for the last 4.5 years, I've been running my own consulting business, working with primarily seed to Series C type companies who are trying to grow from, call it 0 to 100 million or so, and help people out on strategy and messaging and RevOps process and recruiting and coaching and training and all these kinds of things. So that's a little bit about what I'm up to right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much. When I say your background, I just imagined that it would be super informative call. Thank you so much. And my first question, how do you see the future of sales for SMB with the use of AI? Because AI around us, and maybe what is the critical thing?
Yeah, well, I think right now you're seeing people still learning how to interact with it. What are the best use cases for it? And so right now in present day, it's how do I take this tool and have it make me be better than I am right now? I think that, if you go out a couple years, I think the tools will become more and more powerful to the point where we trust them to do things for us that we don't right now. So for example, not many people I know would trust the AI tool to write an email for them without reviewing it and making some edits and kind of doing the last mile, as my friend John likes to say. But in a few years, I don't think that I'll have to edit it at all, right? And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of roles start to get eliminated in prospecting, like SDR roles, even eventually some frontline manager, sales manager kind of roles, because AI tools will be able to do real-time coaching and tell people, hey, do this, say this, do that, don't do this, that's a mistake, as well as like post-mortem, after the fact kind of coaching and call reviews and things of this nature. And then if you go out even farther, I see a world actually where humans actually no longer care about buying from humans. And, right now you could say, well, I have to talk to somebody before I make a purchase over X dollar amount. Okay. But I have 2 teenage boys and they do not talk on the phone to anybody for any reason. That's not how they interact with the world. And so it will be no problem for them in 5 to 10 years, if they're in business, making purchases, talking to an avatar or a digital representation of a salesperson, an AI representation of a salesperson. And, at the current rate, the power of AI is doubling like every 6 months or something like that. So in 7 years, you're talking about AI tools being almost 300 times more powerful than they are today. So it is not difficult for me to imagine a world where salespeople, those jobs are in trouble, I think, because I think that the AI tool will be able to say the right things at the right time, understand emotion, understand sentiment, follow whatever process it's kind of been programmed to follow. And, the last kind of roles to be eliminated will be the sales roles at the highest level, the big kind of deals. And I think what will happen is all of these other roles are going to change. And you maybe will have a role called like AI pilot, where you're the one kind of telling the AI what to do, but not actually picking up the phone and cold calling people and things like that. So, very kind of like dystopian view maybe of how things are going, but I can see it going that way. Will I be right about any of this stuff or none of this stuff? Time will tell, I guess.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And in one of your recent posts, you just raised a cool topic. One bad coach can ruin it. And what do you think the most important thing in sales training, and what should we focus on?
And talk about live. I think I wrote that post like an hour ago. He already brought it up. Okay. Well, what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're a salesperson or a sales leader for that matter, and you go somewhere and you're not onboarded properly, you're not trained on the industry or the product or the pitch or what have you, you're not supported properly, you don't get the feedback required, you're not given the opportunity to learn, make mistakes, and have somebody be patient with you and coach you and mentor you and whatnot, that's a big problem. And I'm trying to encourage people to do a better job of vetting companies and opportunities before they take those jobs, to ensure that they're going to a supportive environment. Or I'm trying to encourage people who are in environments that don't have that stuff to go find it elsewhere, because there's lots of coaches and people who have been in those situations and can help, give people the feedback that they need if they're not getting it where they're at right now. So that's kind of what I was driving at. So if I hire you into my team, to me, there's four things that are the most important that I need to make sure you understand. And the first one is everything about our industry. So let's say I hire you and we're a real estate company of some sort, but you don't have any background in real estate. Okay, well, I have to teach you about what it's like to buy and sell a home. What's the terminology? Who are the players in this particular industry? How these businesses make money? That's all industry kind of training. That stuff is easy to train people on, but it gets skipped all the time. And I don't think that it should be. The second thing is actually the product. There's too many employees who barely understand how their product works. So if you're a salesperson in particular, and I'm a prospect, and I say, hey, show me how to do XYZ thing in the product, and you don't know how to do it right away, that's a problem. If it requires you to go get a sales engineer on the phone, or go ask somebody in your team after the call for help, and then you have to get back to somebody, that's a problem. That is not an optimal selling experience or buying experience. So you have to make sure you take the time to train people on how to use the product. The third thing is you have to teach people the process. This is very basic stuff, like, how do we use the tools that we have? How, what do the different stages mean in our CRM? How are you making sure that you're following up with people the right way? Did you create an email cadence or sequence the right way? How do you actually close a deal? Because everywhere you go, the process for actually collecting payment and money is different, right? So we have to teach people all these processes. And the fourth and final thing is we have to teach people the messaging. We have to teach people how to sell our product. What's our elevator pitch? Should be basically the same across the whole company. How do we cold call? How do we handle inbounds? How do we upsell? How do we actually demo the product? We have to give people the strategy that we believe is the best one to help them succeed. So those four things is critical to me when we're bringing on somebody new.
Got it. Interesting. Super insightful. Thank you so much, Scott. And where, in your opinion, the big spot for everyone in sales? I mean, specifically for 2024.
Well, I think the weak spot right now for everybody is building pipeline and getting people's attention. It is very, very difficult right now because some of the tools that we've used for the last 20 years do not work as good as they used to. It's an undeniable fact that cold call pickup rates are going down every single year. It doesn't mean that they don't work at all. It just means if you used to get 25% of the people who pick up the phone, now it's like 3%. And the same is true with email. Email reply rates are terrible. They're like 1% to 2% across the board at the best. So these channels that we've used historically to build these big pipelines are not working as well as they used to. And so people are trying to figure out, what do I have to do differently? Some people are saying, well, you have to do twice as much activity. I don't think that that's working for people. Some people are saying you have to elongate your sales cycle and build more of a relationship and have more of like a demand gen, kind of function, or you have to use more networking and partnerships and use this kind of nearbound go to network kind of motion. So everybody's trying to figure out this new world, because at the end of the day, people don't have enough qualified pipeline right now. That's the number one thing that's killing everybody. And the market has changed a little bit. There's not as much venture capital flowing around. Budgets are tighter, so people are very careful with how they spend. And so you're seeing a lot of companies struggle and or die off. And that's where all the layoffs are coming from.
Fantastic. Got it. Yeah, that's interesting. And what do you think maybe the next big trend for salespeople?
Well, I mentioned it before, but this concept of being like an AI pilot, the next big trend, and people who will succeed in the near term are people who understand how to leverage AI tools on top of their already good skill set in order to succeed. So they become a little bit more kind of superpowered, supercharged, looking for efficiencies all over the place, eliminating low-level tasks so they can spend more time on high-value revenue-generating kind of activities. So I think that's probably the trend of the moment, is everybody should be equipping themselves with an understanding of these tools and how they can use them to best support them. And the next trend after that is, if you don't have or are not actively building a network, you're in trouble. Because in the near future, the only way to get a hold of somebody is going to be through somebody else that you both know. If I want to get a hold of Artem, I'm not going to be able to cold call you. I'm not going to be able to email you or cold DM you even on LinkedIn. I'm going to have to go to somebody in your network that I know, that you also know. And I'm going to have to ask that person to make an intro to you. And I can't execute that type of prospecting play, that nearbound play, if I don't have a network. So it all starts with having a network, an online network, right? So I think that salespeople who don't have a network and who have not invested in a platform like LinkedIn over the last 10 years are in big trouble, big trouble.
Got it. Thank you so much, Scott. It's really interesting. And I think it was my last question. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it's super insightful. Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah, cheers.